The Dodgers get swept by the Brewers again, but at least Freddie's injury wasn't as bad as it could have been.
You are Locked On Dodgers, your daily Los Angeles Dodgers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
It's time for Locked On Dodgers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. The Dodgers couldn't bat on Friday and lost. Pitchers couldn't deliver on Saturday and lost. Defense flopped on Sunday and lost. In the midst of all this drama, Mookie Betts is benched, then moved up in the lineup. Freddie Freeman leaves the game injured, but he won't miss extended time. We're going to be talking about all the fallout with this Deja Blue sweep against the Brewers, the second against them in a 2-week span. Travis, the dog days of summer are hitting the boys in blue real hard.
Yes, they are, Harry. And today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $150 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. And look, it was ugly. And it's not panic time. It's not what the heck's going wrong with these guys. What do they need to do? But it's for the first time since they started that 7 in a row skid. They won a couple. They come out, they get swept again. It's the first time where it's like, hey, you guys need to tighten this up. This looks bad. This isn't just a team that's not playing good baseball or a team that's in a bit of a low point. This doesn't look like a good team. I'm not saying they're not a good team. I still believe that they're one of the very best teams, but for the better part of now 3.5 weeks, they have not played like a good baseball team, and something needs to change.
Yeah, of course. And fortunately, a change that has happened in this channel is the addition of Travis Rodgers and me, Harry Ruiz, two guys who talk sports for a living and bleed Dodger Blue for life. If you listen or watch our show in the morning, head over to 710 ESPN LA or the ESPN LA app to catch Travis bringing the heat from 9 to noon with the Travis and DeMarco show. As for me, I'm heading into my busiest time of the year, calling games in Spanish for the Las Vegas Raiders and USC football. But no matter how hectic things get, nothing beats jumping on the mic every weekday morning and diving deep into what I love the most, which is talking Dodger baseball with you. Through the highs, the lows, the great, the bad, we'll be here for you. And unfortunately, right now, we're in one of those lows, Travis, because Friday, that game was non-competitive. 2-0 loss. Tyler Glasnow did a good job on the mound. 6 innings, 4 hits, 1 walk, only 1 earned run. But in a night where the Dodgers lineup only got on base 4 times and didn't score, it didn't matter.
Yeah, I think, you could take each of these games individually, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and there's probably 1 or 2 things in each game you're like, okay, that was pretty good. But there was a lot more things you're like, well, that was pretty bad. I'm glad that you brought up Glasnow, Harry, on Friday. Look, we all know about Tyler Glasnow, right? When he pitches, he's fantastic. He's just absolutely terrific. He's got some of the best stuff in baseball. He is an absolute electric arm. He just doesn't pitch enough. So getting to see him out there and do his thing, that's really good news. Like you said, he had a good night. The problem is the other side of it. The offense just completely no-showed. And you'd like to think after the All-Star break, after getting, 4 or 5 days off and away from the game, off of your feet to kind of refresh and reorient and all of these sort of things, that they might come out there and come out sharp and crisp and firing. And the opposite happened. They look flat. They look disengaged. They look like they had, overslept, for lack of a better word. It just, everything looked a little groggy and slow, and it never really changed all that much throughout the rest of the weekend. Different things went wrong. The offense finally came along later in the week, but it was a really, I don't want to say alarming. That's too strong of a word, Harry, but it was really kind of a curious beginning to the second part of the season where, after playing kind of lousy going into the break, they played kind of lousy coming out of it.
Yeah, and then you head over to Saturday, game 2. In a night where Emmett Sheehan, Ben Casparis, and Lou Trevino were rocked, LA lost 8-7. So despite this being just the second time in the last 19 games where the Dodgers scored more than 6 runs, they couldn't deliver the win. And in this game, the interesting part was that Mookie Betts got benched. He got the day off right after coming off of his first All-Star real break since 2015, because let's remember, in 2020, that All-Star game didn't happen. That was the pandemic-shortened season, so that break didn't exist. So this is the first time in a decade that Mookie Betts actually got the All-Star break off, and he was benched just one day after coming back from it. That was very interesting, and that seemed to rock the boat a little bit.
I think, you're right. And I think the part for me that's most interesting is exactly what you said, which is this is coming off of a break. They still felt the need to tell him, hey, you're not playing today. That he must be in a really dark place mentally for them to go to him after the first day back and say, hey, why don't you take he just got a bunch of days. Like if he didn't have a way to kind of work through this, and look, we all know that one of the nice things about this, and there's one of the few nice things about this, is that Mookie's grinding it out. You know that he cares. You know that he's working. You know that he's trying to find the answers, and that's satisfying to a point because you know that he's invested in this the way that fans are. But that they felt the need to give him kind of a mental health day one day after coming out of the break, I think speaks to how deep of a hole he is actually in. Now, I know we'll talk about Sunday in a minute, but not seeing him out there on Saturday, and I got a chance to go watch the game on Saturday night, was surprising to say the least, because they had just come out of that break. And look, Sheehan got rocked. They hit him really hard. It was the first time all year where he had really looked like he could not find his way out of it. Not only did they score a bunch of runs, they hit him really hard in that game. But the Dodgers had chances, right? The Dodgers come back from a 4-run deficit. They tie the game. They give the lead right back. There's a really bad, ugly play by Teoscar Hernandez in right field where he takes an ugly route to a ball. There's another ball in the right center field gap that Pages and Hernandez don't communicate real well on. It gets to the fence as well. There's a runner at third base with nobody out, with a chance to bring in the run and take the lead for the first time in a long time, and they can't get a productive out and get that runner in there. You get a strikeout, a ground out, and a fly out, and nothing really happens. They just aren't playing. There was another moment where a Brewer runner steals second base. Nobody covers the bag. Like, it's just nobody moves. Like, just really bad baseball. It's one thing to be cold at the plate. It's one thing to have a bad day on the bump. But to play bad baseball the way that they are right now is fixable. It is something that needs to be addressed, and it was on display on Saturday night.
Yeah, and you're the defending World Series champions who just invested a lot of money to be contenders this year. Not contenders, but one of the favorites to win the World Series. So unlike, for example, the Royals in 2015 that they won the World Series, I don't think a lot of people thought they were going to win it in 2016. This year, the Dodgers, they're still the favorites to win it all. And to see that kind of effort on the field, it's just frustrating as a Dodger fan. And then
yeah, it's just sloppy. And look, it's one, if Mookie's cold, I get it. That's going to happen occasionally. Freddie's in a bad spot and he's not healthy. I get it. That's going to, you're missing Max Muncy, you're missing Kike, you're missing some guys. I understand that there are some things that could happen on your team that are going to lead to some losing. I understand. Not covering second base, taking a terrible route to a ball in the outfield, not getting that runner in from third base with 0 outs along the way. That's not health related. That's not anything other than doing the little things that win you games or lose you games in this case. And they're not doing them. And that isn't just something you go, that's one of those things. It's bad baseball and they need to fix it.
Yeah, and we're going to dig deep into Game 3 in just a bit, but we'll bring up Mookie Betts. A day after being benched, he got switched to the leadoff spot for the first time since Father's Day 2024. Did you like the move? Do you think it was just a jolt of energy to be like, we need to do something different, so here's something?
Yes, all of the above. I think it was both of those things. I think it's a way to just kind of get a different look, just kind of say, hey, let's just shake the dice up and see what comes out. Mookie got a hit. We saw Shohei put one in the left field bullpen after that. So he obviously is comfortable hitting in that second spot. I think Shohei would be comfortable hitting anywhere in the lineup. But yeah, I did like it because I think this is the sort of stuff that you need to do. And not that you need to do it for the rest of the season, but let's see if you can find a spark, find a little something that gets guys going again. So I did like the decision to flip-flop those two guys. And look, Ohtani's one of the few guys who you just never really goes into a slump of any prolonged length. And, he had a home run on Saturday night. He had another home run yesterday. So he's obviously feeling pretty good. And you got to try to find a way to get him up with some guys on base because, the guys at the bottom of the order really haven't been doing that enough. And if they want to move him down and give Mookie a chance to see a little bit better pitching. And I thought it was interesting what Mookie said. It's like they asked him about that. Are you going to get better pitches with Shohei hitting behind you? He goes, man, Freddie Freeman was hitting behind me before. It's not like I'm going to get a ton of different pitches, but There was a little bit of success there. Dodgers should have won the game yesterday, but it wasn't because of the offense. It was because of the defense.
Yeah, and next on Locked On Dodgers, we're going to dive deep into Sunday's series sweeping loss by the Dodgers, where Clayton Kershaw, just like you and I, he was absolutely pissed off. Get the supplies you need from the site made for the skilled trades. Supply House. Whether you're in plumbing, HVAC, or electrical work, Supply House is the reliable way to order products online. Their easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources and the largest product info to help you get the job done right. Plus, with a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from 400 plus top brands, you'll find exactly what you need delivered fast from coast to coast. Join the Trade Master program today at supplyhouse.com/TM and start ordering plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies with just a few clicks. Plus, use the promo code SH5 for 5% off your first order. That's supplyhouse.com. Thanks for making us your first listen wherever you may be tuning in, either on your favorite podcast app or on our YouTube channel. Smash that notification bell so you never miss a beat. Full episodes, hot takes, breaking Dodgers news, and the Dodgers postcast show with Pete Fox live after the final out of every game. If it drops, you're on it. That's how you become an everydayer here on Locked On Dodgers. The Dodgers had a 3-0 lead into the fourth inning, and with Kershaw looking good on the mound in the third game on Sunday against the Brewers, his teammates failed with him with 2 errors, with 2 outs, deleting that lead. Edman tried making a great play, ended up making a bad throw. Run. Then you go over to a single to left field. Ruiz makes a terrible throw trying to get the runner at home. Runner advances second, 3-2. And then a fly ball to center field. Pages didn't catch it. Tied game. Out of nowhere, that lead disappeared. And the defense, it seemed like it was the theme. Every day, something different for the Dodgers that didn't allow the team to win a game in this series against the Brewers, where you and I predicted 2 wins. They came out with a big nothing.
Yeah, they deserve nothing. It's not like, the Brewers had a couple of walk-off, or I guess it wouldn't be a walk-off on the road, but a couple of ninth-inning home runs to beat them. This was the Dodgers kind of loaded it up and said, here, take it. The Saturday night game, the Sunday afternoon game, were not games that Milwaukee probably should have won. They're games that at least should have been far more competitive than they were, and they weren't. And, like you said, the game yesterday, Kershaw was kind of cruising. He was having a really good day, and then the wheels came off in that inning that you just described. Starts with that Edman throw, and again, I get it. Nice play to make the stop at third base, but you gotta finish it off, or it doesn't really matter. And then Pages makes I don't know what the heck happened. Maybe he lost it in somebody's shirt. I don't know what it was, but it's about as bad as you're going to see. That is a routine play in the major leagues that he just completely whiffed on. And you could see it on Kershaw's face in the moment. You could see him on the mound standing out there. And certainly after the game had ended, when they went to talk to him, he was hot. And I get it. And quite frankly, Harry, I'm glad, because I think that Clayton Kershaw is the one guy on that team that can really lean in and let some guys have it in a way that people are going to listen to and respond correctly to it, right? When it comes from a manager, that I don't want to say it doesn't matter, but it's like it's the manager. He's going to get upset. He's going to, chirp. If it comes from somebody else that's maybe hasn't been here quite as long, that's one thing. But Clayton Kershaw is saying, hey, let's tighten this up. And I don't, he stopped himself from going off in the post-game comments along. So he was still clearly feeling it. I wouldn't be surprised if he said something. I wouldn't be surprised if he had one of those, hey, listen, I know we're really good. We're really good, but we're not good right now. And just thinking that we're going to show up and win these games is not going to do it. We got to play better baseball. He's the guy to deliver that message. It's got to come from him or Mookie or Freddie. And quite frankly, Mookie and Freddie are struggling right now. So that may not be the right messenger at the moment. But I love salty Kershaw. I got to tell you, I hope that he stays salty. I hope that he gets under some guy's skin. I hope that he says something out loud, because they need a kick in the butt.
Yeah, and you mentioned him on the field, on the mound, how you noticed his frustration. How
Oh
about
yeah.
him going to the dugout and just taking off his hat, throwing his glove, kicking something, and just being absolutely pissed off? Where it's like, hey, that's what's supposed to happen right now because the defense let him down big time. Here's the stat: when he threw that pitch where Tommy Edman ended up with a bad throw, that was his 57th pitch of the game in the fourth inning. He ended up needing 71 pitches, 14 more pitches to get out of the fourth inning. Instead of just winning 3-0, they were tied 3-3, 14 pitches later. So that definitely is a point of just total frustration from Clayton Kershaw. And I'll bring back the All-Star game. All the
Yeah.
love, all the respect, all the admiration he got from opponents. Can you imagine now his teammates, the guys that are in there in the locker room? Of course, they're going to respect him even more than the guys that are looking at him from the outside. So when you look at Clayton Kershaw like that, or the post-game press, not a press conference, the interview outside of it in the clubhouse, he said at the end, I don't have much to say. I'm going to get myself in trouble. Let's just call it thank you. And he stepped away. Something you don't see Clayton Kershaw do. He did it yesterday because he was like, man, I don't want to get in trouble.
No, that's right. Like Clayton Kershaw will talk even when he's frustrated. We've seen him, in his struggles in the postseason or whatever. He's not somebody that runs from a microphone. He'll stand there and take his medicine when it's his turn to do that. I think you're right. I think that the frustration was visible. And I'm glad you brought up the All-Star game, Harry, that, the everydayers, when we were talking about it in the moment, it was fun and he was having a good time and he's laughing and he's talking with John Smoltz and he's talking with Joe Davis in the game and, the suck it big dumb. Like it was fun. He's competitive, man. And he's got a chance to compete for another World Series, to be a part of a team that's competing for the World Series, and taking nothing away from his contributions over, a couple of decades. But he really wasn't a part of what they did last year. He's there, but he didn't really contribute in a meaningful way. This is a season where he is contributing in a meaningful way. I'm sure he wants to pitch in the postseason. He wants to pitch in the World Series. He wants to be on a team that's playing great baseball as you get closer and closer to the postseason, because this is exceptionally likely his last shot at this. This is the last time he's going to go around the block with a really good team as a part of it, and they're blowing it. And they're not doing the easy stuff. Guys get hot, guys get cold. They go into slumps. There are going to be errors. That's going to happen. It's this stuff. It's bad routes to balls. It's not third base production. It's lousy at bats. Those are the things that can be fixed. And I would bet my bottom dollar that Tommy Edman making a bad throw isn't nearly as bothersome as Ruiz making a terrible throw, letting a runner move up. That's a mental mistake as much as it is a physical mistake. Pages making that mistake. Pages getting rung up on Saturday night with a runner at third base and nobody. Yeah, you got to swing the bat, man. All of these things are mental mistakes far more than physical ones, and I think that's what got under his skin.
Yeah, Ruiz and Pages, they kind of redeemed themselves an inning later in the fifth. A great catch by Andy at center field, but then Kershaw was taken out of the game with one out. And Vesia got the Dodgers out of a bases loaded jam without allowing a run. Esteury, he got his first Dodgers home run to return the lead to LA, but that problem is it's like woulda, coulda, shoulda. You got to do your job. You got to take advantage of your opportunities. Pages is now the everyday center fielder for the boys in blue, or let's just say an everyday outfielder for the boys in blue. Ruiz, he might not be on this team in a couple of weeks. And when you go out there, I know that you're trying to do your best to continue on this squad, but man, there's just moments where you got to there's not moments. You always got to put the team first and what's the best interest of the team, and throwing the second was the best. And also, Andy Pages just kind of jogging toward third base in the ninth inning instead of rounding and going strong in case an error happened, which ended up happening with the Dodgers down 6-4 and extending the game. A bad throw from the infielder. That's frustrating too as hell.
It is. And I would not be surprised if at some point, if this continues, obviously got the Minnesota Twins coming up next, but if they continue to play sloppy, that if you don't see salty Dave Roberts show up sooner than later, that because again, errors, injuries, okay, part of the game. Sloppy is not. Sloppy does not lead to playoff wins, does not lead to World Series championships, and right now they're really sloppy. So I think you're going to see we need to do better. This can't happen. We're going to fix it one way or the other. I wouldn't be surprised if all of a sudden you see somebody gets sent away that should, like, this is the way you make everybody go, whoa. okay, I guess we're not playing around anymore. So I think all of those options are on the table.
Yeah, and injuries are also a part of the
Sure.
game. And LA dodged a huge bullet after Freddie Freeman got hit by a pitch on his left wrist and immediately took himself out of the game. Coming up here on Locked On Dodgers, his status for this week and who would replace him at first base if he isn't available.
Summer sports are in full swing, and whether you are all about baseball under the lights, who doesn't like that, golf on the green, or maybe you're a soccer guy, a little high stakes soccer action, FanDuel, of course, is the best way to make every game even more exciting. So you're already following the action, right? You're plugged in all these games, you're paying attention. Why not make it a little bit more thrilling? And of course, with FanDuel, you can get in on the game while your friends, they're doing whatever it is they're doing in the middle of the summer. You're having fun, you're watching these games, you're making a little money. Now, FanDuel, super easy to track your favorite matchups. The app is always keeping it fresh with new daily promotions and fun ways to bet. Super easy to use. They're going to pay you fast payout, and makes even that regular season game feel like something that you can't not miss. So, of course, you can have a same game parlay, or maybe you watch that bet ride deep into the ninth inning. FanDuel makes it feel like we are all part of the action. And if you're new to FanDuel, great. New customers can bet just $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. So open up the FanDuel app today or visit FanDuel.com to get started.
Don't forget to follow Locked On Dodgers not only on YouTube, but on X, Instagram, and TikTok as well. You can find Travis on social media at Travis Rodgers on X and Instagram. Meanwhile, I'm at Harry Ruiz on X, at Harry_Ruiz on Instagram, and at Harry Ruiz_ on TikTok. Let us know if you got freaked out as bad as I did when Freddie Freeman left the game yesterday, because it takes a lot to get Freddie out of the field. And that's what ended up happening yesterday after he got hit by a pitch on his left wrist in the 6th inning. No walking to first, no getting checked out by a trainer. He simply walked to the dugout and called it a day. Travis, at that moment, I felt we had just lost Freddie Freeman for a while. Fortunately, that's not the case because the x-rays came back negative.
Yeah. All right. I'm going to try to put a super positive spin on something, like you said, Harry, that was really alarming. This may be a blessing in disguise. This may be an opportunity for him to take a deep breath, get a couple of days off of his feet, get an opportunity to maybe let some other things heal. You know, a wrist with a hitter is always terrifying because there's no way you can hit major league pitching if your hands aren't good, right? It's just too difficult. And even a Hall of Famer like Freddie Freeman, if he's got a bad hand, a bad wrist, it's going to be a real struggle. But, you know, we know that his ankle's been bothering him going all the way back to last postseason. Same thing with the rib. Who knows what else he's got going on in there. And like you said, it's good news that it didn't break. It's good news that the x-rays were negative. But in the event that they do need to sit him down and put an IL stint, this is good news because it'll allow all of those other things maybe to calm down a little bit, if in fact that's the reason that he's been struggling the way that he has, because he has been really not Freddie Freeman either. So scary to be sure. Glad there was no broken bone, but if he gets off his feet for a week or two, and we'll see. Hopefully it's just a bruise and he comes back and he's turned into Freddie Freeman tonight. But if they do need to set him down for a while, I don't hate it as long as they can continue to find a way to win some games. This is the good news about having as good of a team as you do, is that you can play the long game the way that they have. But hopefully there's a silver lining to this.
Yeah, the problem here for the Dodgers is that you look at Kike Hernandez, the guy that had been filling in for Freddie whenever he got a day off. Kike is hurt. Kike's on the IL. He already went over the 10 days that was the minimum for him to be on the IL. And there wasn't a good update from Dave Roberts, who said we're just in a wait-and-see situation right now with Kike. Then you go over and look at Freddie's stats. Since Max Muncy got hurt, Freddie Freeman is batting .191, 0 home runs, 5 RBIs. Out of the 10 Dodgers with at least 30 at-bats since July 3rd, a day after Max Muncy got hurt, he's the eighth worst in that list, only above Teoscar Hernandez and Tommy Edman, which it sucks saying that because those are two guys that the Dodgers want to rely a lot on, and they're not available. So without Kike, without Freeman in case he can't go tonight or the next couple of nights, because also the Dodgers, they get a day off on Thursday, but that's pretty much a travel day, because then starting Friday, they start a 9-game road trip in 10 days in the East Coast. So Freddie Freeman, he could potentially take these couple of next days off, get an off day also on Thursday, and then come back to play. But with his absence, we would be talking about Dalton Rushing, whose experience at first base in the big leagues is just 4 games this season, coming up in late innings in Dodgers blowouts. So that's going to be very interesting. Of course, I feel that it would be positive for the Dodgers having his bat in the lineup every day at the same time as Will Smith. And with Freddie not being Freddie for the last couple of weeks or even more than that, it could be a positive for the Dodgers to be like, all right, let's let Freddie just chill for a couple of days like they did in the past with players like Mookie.
Yeah, there's a lot there, Harry. I think you bring up some great points. And number one, I think you nailed it at the top. Max Muncy not being here is far more impactful than I think anybody really kind of realized until he was gone. That he just extends that lineup. He sees a lot of pitches. So having him gone has kind of, there's been a trickle down effect there as well. I really like what you said about Freddie and the numbers that the batting average that see Freddie Freeman hitting under 200 for an extended period of time just doesn't make any sense at all. But no home run. There's no pop in his bat right now. There's just no threat of an extra base hit, of a big inning with him happening in the middle of that thing. And then lastly, he's striking out a lot. Like that for by Freddie Freeman standards, he's striking out a ton, and that's just not how he plays. That's why I think there's a lot of underlying things there, and him getting healthy could benefit them a great deal as you get into August and September and beyond, hopefully. As far as who goes over there, Rushing is probably your first option because Kike's not there. Miguel Rojas, like you mentioned, he could go in there. And then you wonder too if they don't dip into their minor league system and give a guy a chance who maybe we haven't really talked about too much. A guy, sometimes weird stuff happens where you lose a great player like Freeman, you call a guy up from the minor leagues, you throw him in there, and there's a little spark. He comes up and brings a little energy and brings a little enthusiasm and whatever it may be, but it's a new element there because the Dodgers, I don't mean to be too fatalistic. I really do think they're going to be okay. I think they're going to come out of all of this, but right now they feel really stale. They feel really kind of just bleh. And a fresh face who comes in and gets a couple of big hits can really kind of spark a resurgence and some freshness. And maybe that's something that they need.
Absolutely. And can you imagine without Freddie Freeman, how many times has Freddie bailed out infielders with bad throws to first base? That's a huge component because, yes, we love his bat, but his defense, not a lot of people pay attention to it. And that's a huge element of the game as well for him. And fortunately, it doesn't seem to be a bad injury because when I saw him get hit and the way that he reacted, I was like, he might be done for the season. A player doesn't just take himself out of the game.
Not him, too.
Yeah, and not him.
Yeah.
Because he's got reservations at 3:00. No, this kind of player, he stays in there, even if it's, come on. We saw it in the World Series. How hurt was he during the playoffs, during the postseason? And he didn't take himself out of any of those games.
No, he is. I don't want to say he's the one guy because the Dodgers have a lot of guys like this, but there's never is he really that hurt? With that guy, if he's out of the lineup, that there's something significantly wrong with him. So I think you're right. And this is, I guess, again, let's kind of get a little positive here. This is why I'm still very optimistic about the future of this team. Freddie Freeman will figure it out. He's Freddie Freeman. Mookie Betts will figure it out. He's Mookie Betts. Max Muncy will come back and give that lineup a little bit of depth. I think that, you saw Tommy Edman come out of an 0 for 29. He had a couple of hits. He had a home run on Saturday night. You're starting to see some of these guys, find their way a little bit. So I think once you get Blake Snell's coming back, Tyler Glasnow had a good outing the other day. So you're starting to see the outline of what this team can be. Maybe it's going to take another week or two, or maybe even a little more to get everybody healthy again. But by the time you get to September and really have to mash the gas and get ready for the postseason, I really do expect Muncy, Freeman, Betts, all those guys to be at their best.
Yeah, let's just put things into perspective. It's better that this is happening in the month of July than the month of September or October, where you're booted if you have a week like this. Well, that's a wrap for today's show. Big thanks for me and Travis for making Locked On Dodgers your first listen. If you're still craving more baseball talk, have the all-new Locked On MLB Game Night be your second listen. Every game, every night, all season long. Get local analysis on a national scale. Find it on Locked On MLB on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. And also catch Pete Fox after every Dodgers game on our YouTube channel with his live postcast. We'll be back tomorrow, Tuesday, to talk about how Shohei Ohtani fared against the Twins in his first game this season, where he's actually scheduled to pitch at least 3 innings. Travis, we need Shohei to be Superman and save us from this losing streak. Will he do it?
He's done it every other time. Why not tonight?
Exactly. We appreciate you riding with us. Until next time, keep it real, keep it Dodger Blue.